Everyone knows honey is a golden superfood, a natural sweetener, perfect for everything, especially for little ones. Right, you probably even heard it soothes a sore throat and is totally safe for babies. Well, you've been lied to, because inside every jar of honey, there could be tiny spores that, for a baby under 1 year old, can wake up, multiply, and produce a toxin so powerful it can paralyze their muscles. Just a tiny taste can turn nature's candy into a silent bomb. You've been lied to. Here is the truth about the everyday foods you thought were harmless, but are actually secretly trying to kill you. Okay, so honey isn't the only one with a secret. Let's dive into another innocent looking food that might surprise you. Coming in at number 9, imagine a seemingly harmless root vegetable, one that millions of people around the world love to eat. It's cassava, or as some call it, yuca. It looks perfectly innocent, right? But hold on, because this humble root is actually packed with tiny chemical compounds. When you peel or cut open a cassava root, it's like activating a secret alarm. These compounds turn into something called hydrogen cyanide. Yes, that's the same stuff you hear about in chemical weapons. It's the plant's way of protecting itself from being eaten. There are 2 main types of cassava, sweet and bitter. The sweet kind has less of this secret weapon, but the bitter one, it's basically saying, seriously, don't mess with me. And this isn't just a tiny theoretical threat. Eating even one cassava root that hasn't been prepared properly can have enough cyanide to send you straight to the emergency room. We're talking real consequences here. For example, in Uganda, nearly 100 people ended up with cyanide poisoning after a community meal where the cassava flour wasn't properly prepared. Their stomachs started to protest with vomiting, they felt dizzy, their hearts raced, and some even risked their nervous systems shutting down or passing out. And if you keep eating poorly processed cassava over time, it's like a slow poison, potentially damaging your thyroid and even your brain. So, how do we enjoy this tricky root safely? Well, millions of people depend on it as a staple food, and they've totally figured out how to tame this killer root. It requires a lot of care. You have to peel it, soak it in water, ferment it, and then cook it just right. If you skip any of these crucial steps, that secret weapon inside remains deadly. But do it right, and it becomes a delicious and safe meal. Isn't it wild how something so common can have such a hidden power? Alright, let's move on to our next surprising food secret. Coming in at what we'll call fact number 2 on our list is something many of us absolutely adore: honey golden, sweet, and often seen as a superfood. Honey seems like pure goodness, but did you know it holds a very important secret, especially when it comes to the tiniest members of our families inside every jar of honey? No matter how pure or organic it is, there could be tiny, tiny spores of a specific type of bacteria. For us adults and even older kids, these little spores are usually no big deal. Our amazing digestive systems and gut bacteria are strong enough to keep them in check, like a team of superheroes ready to handle any unwanted guests. But for babies under 1 year old, it's a completely different story. A baby's gut simply isn't developed enough yet to fight off these spores. Imagine their tiny tummies like an empty house with the door wide open, no guards, no defenses. When these spores get into a baby's system, they wake up, start multiplying, and then produce a really powerful toxin. This toxin is so potent that it can paralyze muscles and essentially tell the baby's nerves to stop working. The first signs of this happening can be subtle, like the baby getting constipated. Then, their cry might become weak, they could have trouble feeding, and their muscles might get weaker and weaker. In severe cases, they might even struggle to breathe, potentially leading to complete paralysis. And here's the kicker: this can happen from just a tiny taste of honey, an amount so small you might not even notice it. So, whether it's on a pacifier, mixed into tea, or hidden in other foods, it's a definite no-go. That's why doctors and health experts all say the same thing: absolutely no honey for babies under 1 year old. It's a strict rule to keep them safe. Once a baby celebrates their first birthday, their immune system is much stronger, and honey becomes perfectly safe for them to enjoy. Isn't it fascinating how something so sweet can have such a critical age restriction? Alright, moving on to another common kitchen item that might have a surprising secret hiding in plain sight. Let's talk about what we'll call fact number 3 on our list. Those seemingly innocent potatoes in your pantry. You know how sometimes you grab a potato and it has a weird green tint to it. You might think, oh, it's probably just a little sunlight, no big deal. But actually, that green color is nature's own little warning sign, like a tiny red light flashing from your spud. It's telling you something important. When potatoes get exposed to light, they naturally turn green because they're producing chlorophyll, just like leaves on a plant. That green itself isn't the problem. The tricky part is that when potatoes start turning green, they're also ramping up the production of a natural poison called solanine. Think of solanine as the potato's built-in defense mechanism against bugs trying to munch on it. While a normal, healthy potato has only tiny, harmless amounts of this stuff, a green potato is basically hitting the boost button on its poison production. Eating enough of these green parts can cause some really uncomfortable symptoms. We're talking about headaches, nausea, dizziness, confusion, and some pretty severe stomach pain. This isn't just a mild upset stomach. In serious cases, it can even lead to more critical health issues. There are even historical accounts of people getting very sick or worse during times of food scarcity because they ate these green potatoes. So, how do we handle this red light warning? It's simple, always store your potatoes in a dark, cool place to keep them from turning green in the first place. If you do spot some green, it's best to cut off the green spots very thoroughly. If the potato is extensively green or looks generally off, it's safer to just toss it out entirely. And a quick extra tip, those sprouts and eyes that grow on old potatoes, they're also highly toxic, so make sure to remove those too, or again, just discard the potato. Who knew our humble potatoes had such a dramatic secret? Huh. Okay, from the sneaky green potatoes, let's move on to another kitchen staple that looks perfectly harmless but has a hidden agenda if not prepared correctly. This is fact number 4 on our list, the adorable red kidney beans. You know those pretty reddish kidney beans? They look so innocent, right, often used in chilies, salads, and so many delicious dishes. But guess what? These little guys have a secret bodyguard packed inside them. Yep, raw or undercooked kidney beans aren't just crunchy, they're actually tiny chemical weapons. They contain a natural toxin called phytohemagglutinin. Think of this toxin as the bean's own little self-defense system, created to protect itself from being eaten by animals in the wild. The surprising part: you don't need to eat a whole bowl of them to feel the effects. Just 4 or 5 undercooked kidney beans can be enough to make your stomach seriously upset. When this bodyguard toxin gets into your system, it acts fast. Within just 1 to 3 hours after you've eaten them, you'll likely start feeling really nauseous. That's often followed by severe vomiting and then intense diarrhea. It's not just a minor tummy ache, some people have even ended up in the hospital because they ate improperly prepared kidney beans. And here's a crucial tip: slow cookers are actually a big no-no for cooking kidney beans from scratch. They often don't get hot enough to completely destroy this nasty toxin. In fact, they can sometimes make things worse by warming the beans just enough to make the toxin even more potent. So, how do we disarm these little chemical weapons and enjoy our kidney beans safely? It's all about proper preparation. First, you need to soak your dried beans in water overnight. Crucially, after soaking, you must throw that water out because it's now full of toxins. Next, put the beans in fresh water and bring them to a full, rolling boil. We're not talking about a gentle simmer here. It needs to be a vigorous, bubbly boil for at least 30 minutes. That high heat is what breaks down the toxin and makes the beans perfectly safe and delicious to eat. Once cooked correctly, kidney beans transform into a super nutritious food, packed with fiber and protein. So, don't shy away from them, just make sure you give them the proper spa treatment before they hit your plate. Alright, after mastering the art of safe kidney bean preparation, let's turn our attention to another seemingly harmless natural ingredient that has a very important cook thoroughly rule: elderberries. You know those little dark elderberries? Right. They look so cute and are often used to make delicious syrups, jams, and even wine. But guess what? These adorable little berries, when fresh from the plant, hold a tiny secret. If you were to pick fresh elderberries and just pop them into your mouth, it would be like munching on little hidden cyanide bombs. That's because raw elderberries, along with their leaves and stems, contain certain compounds. When these compounds get into your body, your internal systems can actually turn them into a dangerous substance. Yes, actual cyanide. And here's an extra twist: the leaves and stems are even more potent, packing a bigger punch of this hidden poison than the raw berries themselves. There's even a real-life story from 1983 in California where a group of people had an elderberry juice party. They juiced the berries, but they also included the leaves and stems. Basically, they accidentally made their own DIY poison juice. As you can imagine, everyone who drank it got super sick. They experienced severe stomach cramps, intense vomiting, dizziness, and some were so unwell they could barely stand up. Even just a handful of raw berries can make you feel pretty ill. The plant is essentially trying to protect itself from being eaten by poisoning you from the inside out. So, how do we make these lovely berries safe and enjoy their benefits? The trick is all in the cooking. People absolutely love using elderberries because, when prepared properly, they are actually super good for you. The heat from cooking breaks down all those nasty compounds, transforming them into harmless, tasty goodness. It's truly a poison cooked into medicine kind of situation. So, go ahead and enjoy your elderberry pie or syrup. Just make sure those berries have been thoroughly cooked. Alright, after diving into the fascinating transformation of elderberries from potentially toxic to deliciously safe with a little heat, let's explore another plant that plays a similar trick, but with a crucial difference. We're talking about rhubarb, a true two-faced plant that's full of surprises. You know those beautiful reddish-pink rhubarb stalks, right? They're perfectly fine and people use them all the time in scrumptious pies, crumbles, and desserts. They add that lovely tart flavor that makes your taste buds sing. But what about those big, leafy green tops that sprout out above the stalks? Here's where our surprise comes in. Those large, vibrant green leaves on top of the rhubarb plant are actually poisonous. Yep, you heard that right. They're packed with a nasty substance called oxalic acid. Now, imagine this if you were to eat those leaves. This oxalic acid could form tiny, sharp crystals inside your kidneys. Think of it like little shards of glass forming in one of your body's super important organs. In really serious cases, this can lead to kidney failure, which is a very dangerous situation. This isn't just some old wives' tale either. During World War I, when food was incredibly scarce, some desperate people ate these rhubarb leaves because they were hungry. Sadly, it caused severe stomach pain, intense vomiting, and even led to death for some. It's a stark reminder of nature's hidden dangers. And here's the kicker, unlike elderberries, cooking these leaves doesn't remove the toxins, so don't think you can just boil them up and make them safe. The craziest part is that these deadly leaves are attached to the perfectly edible stalks. It's almost like nature is playing a twisted game with us. Some folks even worry that after a hard frost, the poison might move from the leaves down into the stalks. While scientists aren't completely sure if this happens, it's always best to be safe and avoid any stalks that look mushy or weird after a frost. So, the golden rule for rhubarb is simple: stick to the stalks and toss those leaves. Enjoy your rhubarb pie, but make sure you've always removed the green, leafy tops. Alright, after discovering the surprising duality of rhubarb with its perfectly edible stalks and poisonous leaves, let's turn our attention to another everyday item that holds an unexpected secret right in your kitchen cabinet. We're talking about nutmeg, that wonderfully fragrant spice you sprinkle into your cookies, pies, or even hot chocolate. A tiny pinch adds a delightful warmth and flavor, but what happens if you get a little too generous? Well, that innocent-looking nutmeg contains a compound called myristicin. Now, in small amounts, it's totally fine for flavor, but if you eat too much, this myristicin can actually take over and interact with your brain in a very strange way. Your body converts it into something that acts a lot like a hallucinogen. Essentially, it can send you on an unpredictable trip you definitely didn't sign up for. The effects can be really weird and quite intense. Imagine the room starting to spin, your mouth feeling super dry, and your heart racing. Some people have reported seeing things that aren't actually there, while others describe a bizarre sensation of floating outside their own bodies. This isn't just a mild stomachache. Taking just 10 grams, which is only about 2 teaspoons, can cause these severe negative effects. People have even ended up in the hospital from it, with large doses potentially leading to seizures or serious heart problems. And here's the kicker, this isn't a quick adventure. These strange effects can actually last for up to 2 whole days. It's pretty wild to think that people have been accidentally tripping on nutmeg since the 1500s. So, the next time you're reaching for that nutmeg grinder, remember, a tiny bit for flavor is perfect, but definitely don't try to get adventurous with it. Who knew such a common kitchen spice held such a mind-bending menace? Alright, we've just uncovered the mind-bending secret of nutmeg, a spice you probably have sitting in your cupboard. Now, let's talk about another seemingly innocent food item, a crunchy, buttery snack that many of us absolutely love: cashews. You know, those perfectly roasted, delicious cashews you buy at the store. Well, believe it or not, cashews in their natural, wild state actually contain the exact same oily compound that makes poison ivy so infamous. It's called urushiol, and about 80% of people are allergic to this stuff when a cashew grows on the tree. It actually hangs below a cashew apple, and the shell around the nut is packed with this very potent oil. Imagine trying to harvest truly raw cashews without any protection. You'd end up covered in an incredibly itchy, blistering rash, just like you'd get from poison ivy. And it's not just external contact. If you were to somehow eat a truly raw cashew, one that hasn't been processed, you could experience rashes, intense itching, and even alarming swelling inside your throat. Definitely not a snack you want to try straight from the tree. This is precisely why you will never see truly raw cashews sold in stores. The ones labeled raw have actually already undergone a crucial safety step. They've been steamed or roasted first to completely destroy that urushiol oil. Food companies have a very careful process. They have to diligently remove the outer shells and then roast these nuts at super high temperatures. This thorough cooking process is what neutralizes the oil, making those cashews perfectly safe and wonderfully tasty for us to enjoy. It's fascinating, isn't it? And cashews aren't alone in this family. They're actually relatives of mangoes and pistachios, which also contain the same oil, especially in the skin of mangoes. So next time you're enjoying your cashews, you can appreciate the hidden journey they've taken to become the safe and delicious snack you know. Alright, we've just peeled back the layers on cashews, revealing their hidden wild side. Now, for our final fascinating secret, let's talk about a fruit that's often hailed as one of the healthiest foods around, the good old apple. An apple a day keeps the doctor away. Right, well, mostly because inside that innocent looking apple, there's a tiny, dark secret tucked away in its core. Those small, black seeds you find are packed with a compound called amygdalin. Now, here's the crucial part. This stuff only becomes dangerous if you actually crush or chew the seeds. If you do, your body's enzymes get to work and transform that amygdalin into something you've probably heard of before: actual cyanide. Yes, the very same poison that sounds so dramatic in movies. It's essentially the apple's ingenious defense mechanism. The apple wants animals to eat its juicy flesh to help spread its seeds far and wide, but it definitely doesn't want those animals chewing up and destroying the precious seeds themselves. So, it's got a tiny chemical deterrent sitting right in the middle. But before you panic and swear off apples forever, let's get some perspective. If you accidentally swallow apple seeds whole, which most of us do sometimes, absolutely nothing happens. They'll just pass right through your system without issue. To actually get sick from apple seeds, you'd have to thoroughly chew and swallow a significant amount of seeds, likely from multiple apples all at once. Your body is pretty good at handling tiny amounts of this compound without any problem. So, rest easy. Your daily apple is still your friend. Isn't that wild? One of the healthiest, most common fruits in our kitchens carries these little poison pills inside, yet it's perfectly safe when we enjoy it the way nature intended. It just goes to show that even the most familiar foods can hold some truly surprising secrets. So, it's pretty wild to uncover just how many unexpected twists and turns there are in the things we usually take for granted. It really makes you look at the world a little differently. Now, I'm super curious. Which of these chill facts completely surprised you the most? Let me know. For now, keep those curious minds ticking. Stay curious. See ya.